You're listening to the only podcast for Texas AirHogs and American Association Baseball. This is Hog Heaven with your host, Tim Costello, and co-host, Zachary Lee. Welcome into Hog Heaven here on your AirHogs Broadcast Network. Take it away, Tim.
Welcome back into another episode of Hog Heaven. Hi, I am Tim Costello, and we are joined this week. Really a cool honor to be joined by the voice of the Kansas City T-Bones, Dan Vaughn. Dan, appreciate you, making the drive all the way down here.
Yeah, it's a long drive in Kansas City. But
when Hog Heaven calls, you got to answer,
When Hog Heaven calls, you drop what you're doing, and you hit the road, and you drive 20 minutes from your house. That's what you do.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, you do live here in the DFW area in the off-season, but let's kind of get into a little bit of your background. How did you end up in the booth working for the Kansas City T-Bones?
Well, I went to college like some of us did and decided law wasn't my thing, and business wasn't my thing, and math wasn't my thing, but I enjoyed sports. I wanted to do something every day that I enjoyed, going to the ballpark. Back in those days, going to do something sports related, something that I could enjoy, that you could grow into. And I had a buddy of mine, fraternity brother of mine in school, said, "Hey, do as much as you can in school." I was out at Texas Tech, and he said, you volunteer, intern. So I picked some play-by-play gigs up doing things like Hale Center Owl football and basketball and out in West Texas, and did some Texas Tech and Lubbock Christian baseball. And really dove into Lubbock Christian back in the early 90s, and went to baseball winter meetings. Read an article about, hey, go to the winter meetings, get you a baseball job, and parlayed that, did that in 93, and worked from 93 until 2001 in the minors, and took a break, worked for CBS Radio in Dallas, and then worked here at 105.3, which is at that time was a country station that flipped over to talk.
Sure.
And then now it's a sports station now, but when I was there it was FM talk, and then jumped back into broadcasting in 2011 and 12, back on the play-by-play side, and went to Australia, to the Australian Baseball League, and from there parlayed that into Gary, spent 4.5 years with the Gary South Shore Railcats, and this just completed my third season in Kansas City. So it was one of those things that the simple answer is, if you're a local person, everybody knows who Dale Hansen is. I grew up watching him on Channel 8. I wanted to be like Dale Hansen, so I figured that's going to be a pretty good job. Well, I'm even better than that. I get to do baseball every night, and sort of like Dale, but I'm getting to do baseball and travel the country, and I enjoyed that part of it.
And not only just traveling the country, right? You mentioned your time in the Australian Baseball League. That's something you still do as well, correct?
Yes, I have worked the last 6 seasons with Perth, the alcohol thing in Perth Heat in the Australian Baseball League, and then working right now on a project for 2020. I can't believe it's going to be 2021, and with an expansion franchise, but plan on going back to Australia during December to work some broadcast with the Heat and with the ABL, doing some radio and some of the ABL TV work over there, which is kind of a whole different animal than what we have in the association. It's a pioneer. It's almost like going back 50, 60 years in baseball history and getting on the ground level, the grassroots ground level of pioneering baseball in Australia.
It's a growing league out there too as well. You're starting to see more and more American players that want to go play in Australia over the off season for American baseball, but also those Australian players, a lot of them have jobs, regular jobs, just like our independent baseball players here.
It's very, very similar. The mirror of the association, American Association, and the Australian Baseball League are very similar. You've got, for example, the best players in Australia are firemen, and they have separate jobs and things like that, and they're playing for, by the way, the Olympics as well in 2020. And we're in the States, Cuba or Venezuela, those guys are full-time ball players. They may have an off-season gig here and there, but for the most part, they're full-time ball players. For Australia, you get a lot of guys that are doing other things. It's a growing game there, and you're starting to see players where 10 years ago it was a rarity to see an Australian. Now you're seeing Australians playing collegiately here in the States, seeing them play in our league as well. We had a couple this year in our league as well. You're seeing them sign contracts with affiliate ball. You're seeing it grow, and it helps to see guys like last night you had the A's and the Rays. Last night you had the Oakland Athletics, their closer, Liam Hendricks, who's from Perth, Australian, been in the big leagues for a while. When you get guys like that, young players in Australia saying, hey, I could be like that guy. And so our game's growing over there. It's still not where it needs to be, but that's why, if you listen to my broadcast with the T-Bones, I have a real understanding of the whole situation here with the Chinese national team. I understand the growth of the game, how important it is for them, because Australia is in the same boat. They're trying to grow the game. They didn't grow up playing the game like we did. You and I grew up, Astros, Rangers, that kind of thing. Yeah. Australia didn't. Those kids are playing cricket and rugby and footy, and it's a different situation, but it's growing, and it's so much fun to see guys. And when I see a Todd Van Stencil at St. Paul this year, seeing him have success here, it's really great for our game in Australia, and it's also great going forward to Tokyo 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about your time with Kansas City. Really, the last couple of years, you guys have been in the playoffs, back-to-back seasons, league champions last year. I was pulling for you guys this year. We traded you Stuart Imes. Yep. I wanted to see him get a ring, but I don't think there was a team hotter than you guys going into the playoffs this year. It was 12 straight wins, right?
Boy, we had 12 straight wins, which was the longest with Sioux City this year, who beat us in the postseason this season. It was a great run. I get asked quite a bit, what's the difference in Kansas City? And I tell this story a lot in the air, and a lot of our listeners with the T-Bones know this story. When I was with Gary was in the same division as the T-Bones. We'd go to KC. It was always cool to go to Kansas City. Great ballpark, great location, a great city, all those things right there. And we loved going there, but they were the kind of cute little T-Bones. They were fun, great mascot, great place to go, but there just wasn't, they weren't competitive, but it hadn't been in a while. Enter Joe Cathpietra, who's our manager, and Joe, along with Chris Brown, our vice president, and the Ellards, who are the owners, made that phone call to Joe, and that's where it all changed. We're now on a 3-year run, began in 2017, where this team has never finished with back-to-back above 500 seasons, done 3 years in a row now, and the way Joe does his business, it's to, hey, come play for us. I'm going to try to get you out of here. That's a good thing. We want you to come here and play, but while you're here, you're going to win, and then hopefully I'll get you a place to play somewhere else. And that attitude, that culture has really spread. And it's been fun to see that we're, as far as the T-Bones organization, we're in our salad days. These are the best days we've had going back to Duluth. This was great times to be a T-Bone. And it all starts with Joe Cathpietra and Chris Brown, who made that phone call to get Joe as our manager.
Yeah, without revealing too much inside information, that was actually my choice for manager of the season this year was Joe C. The way you guys started off, there was maybe a little bit of that championship hangover a little bit, but you guys snapped into it, and I credited him with guiding you guys back to the playoffs after a really slow start.
What these guys do, these managers in this league, what they do, anybody can be an affiliated manager. You can be the AA Frisco manager because they're going to give you the best talent that the organization has. In our game, here, for example, what Billy does and what you guys do here, you got to also go find bodies. Yeah. When you lose a Stuart Imes or a guy gets signed in July, you got to find somebody to replace him. You got to work. It's that extra work. It's that due diligence. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in Joe's office. We're taping his Top Step program, and that phone rings or that phone goes off, and he's checking because he's constantly talking to scouts, agents, players, parents, whatever, saying, look, always looking at that next player move down the road. He's not looking at what's happening today. He's working 2 or 3 moves down the road. And the really good managers in this league, guys like George Samus, and Joe Cathpietra, Rick Forney, those guys are looking down the road. Steve Montgomery, they're looking down the road, and it's anybody can throw a lineup card out there. It's find those guys to replace those guys you had out there the night before. We had twice this year, Tim. We had twice players signed twice in the same day. We lost, one day in June and one day in July. We lost 2 players the same day, and that's hard to find. Finding 2 frontline pitchers, but Joe keeps doing that, and that's what makes what Kansas City is doing so much fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast to watch you guys because it seems like not only you funneling talent into your own team, with some of the trades you've made over the last couple of years, there's some PTNBLs that are being funneled out to other teams as well now. So now, like the AirHogs, we're going to get Eric Manoah back for next year, and we have the rights to Christian Correia. Christian Correia as well. The scouting doesn't only benefit you guys in that scenario where Manoah might not have been amazing for you guys, but he was our best pitcher once he got here.
He was great. I talked to him the last time we were here. Of course, we saw you guys every day, it seemed like, which is great for me coming home. But I pulled him outside the weight room there, right down the left field line, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm happy for you." Because he pitched okay for us, but he was hanging in there. We had some of the guys that were a little ahead of him in the pecking order. He came here and was solid. I said, "Man, I'm happy for him." He's a nice young man. I really enjoy getting to know him. And I told him that how much I appreciate getting to know him. And you really rounded into a guy that's going to get a chance. He continues to do that. Someone's going to sign him again. He's that good of an arm. Then Christian Correia, a guy that we had. You'll love that guy. I hope he comes here. He's a class act. He plays for Team Columbia as well. He's a really fine young man, good receiver, just a good kid. And that's the important thing too. Joe doesn't just get good players, he gets good people as well. And that to me goes a long way.
And with Christian Correia too, if I remember correctly, 3 of his 4 homers came against the AirHogs last year. So clearly he likes hitting in this ballpark.
I said that on the broadcast several times. He had a couple doubles here. He really flourished in this ballpark. The heat doesn't bug him. He's from South Florida and has played a lot of baseball down in Central America. Doesn't play in South America, Colombia. He played the Colombian Winter League before. The heat doesn't bug him. The humidity doesn't bug him. And as you guys know, we just went through the hotter September than we did July. But he's not going to. He'll flourish in this place. He will. He'll be a doubles machine, home run machine here in this ballpark, and I think the fans will really like him.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think, in the by any stretch of imagination, we had guys who busted it behind the plate this year. Steven Javier, from where he started to where he finished, it was night and day. But Christian Correia is still, he's a head above all of that. Right. And not just offensively, the way he controlled y'all's pitching staff this season was phenomenal. Down the stretch, you guys were unhittable. I mean, realistically, coming down the last month of the season, he was behind the plate most games, it seemed like, and y'all were pitching unbelievably every single night.
Yeah, I don't remember how the numbers finished up, but he and Roy Morales were, I believe, 3rd and 4th overall defensive efficiency behind the plate, behind Dylan Kelly and I'm thinking the kid from Cleveland. If I just
Nestor, who, by the way, is a catching instructor for 2 years.
Right. So I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. Then you had Roy, and when you had actually Christian and Roy were 3rd and 4th. It was in August. I haven't gone back and looked at those numbers since, but I've seen their numbers since then. I ended the season report, and they were 3rd and 4th, and people didn't realize. And Roy was an offensive machine, but Christian was defensively right there with those guys, and I think that's important. And it all starts. So they always talk about building a ball club up the middle. And you got to have that good center fielder, somebody that maybe a good shortstop. But that receiver's got to be top notch. He's got to have the trust of his staff. He's got to call a good game. He does that. You'll like him.
Absolutely. Before we get you out of here, real quickly, you got that championship ring on from 2018. How often do you bust that out? Do you big events, kind of just flash the ring for people? How does it work?
Big events. We're very fortunate. The organization got these for us. I usually big events, church on Sunday. Usually, whenever something like this. Once in a while, I'll slip on the coffee shop over there in Preston Hollow and kind of walk in the Starbucks with it, maybe kind of order like this. But usually a couple times a week. It has a nice display case in the office. But when you're talking baseball, talking T-bones, you're going to represent fun, well done, and got to do that.
Well, Dan, you guys really do fun, well done out there in Kansas City. We appreciate you making that long drive all the way down from Kansas to join us here.
Stopped at Buc-ee's on the way in.
I
stopped at Buc-ee's. No, but actually, luckily there was no traffic at the Mixmaster downtown today, so it was perfect timing. 20 minutes, I was here.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, we appreciate you. We'll be right back on Hog Heaven after this.
Attention AirHogs fans, have you still not gotten your 2020 season pass? Well, why not? For only $150, you get in the gate for all 50 home games, including playoffs. That's just $3 a game. It's affordable fun the whole family can enjoy. For more information on season passes or booking your next group outing, contact Zach or Kelsey at zlee@texasairhogs.com or karmond@texasairhogs.com. We look forward to seeing you in 2020.
Welcome back into Hog Heaven. Tim Costello joined with AirHogs infielder Matt Dean. Matt, welcome onto the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad you were able to make it up here today. Zach and I saw you out on the field with Justin Bird a little bit earlier, shooting what looked like a promo video. What were you guys doing out there?
Yeah, so it's a new, baseball organization. It's called We Are Athletic. It's going to be a website where kids can go and learn the fundamentals of baseball, kind of get away from, hitting home runs or, throwing as hard as you can off the bump. So we're really digging into positioning on the field, footwork at first base, where you want to go on cuts and stuff like that. So essentially just, digging into the fundamentals and, teaching kids, really how to play the game.
It seems to me, with the way the game is going, with so many three true outcome guys, the fundamentals really are something that's slipping away from the youth of today's game. You have the benefit of having a dad who also was a baseball coach, so I'm sure fundamentals-wise, those were hammered pretty hard into you from an early age.
Yeah, no, they definitely were. There's a lot more that goes into baseball than, hitting home runs and, throwing hard, like I said, but the true fundamentals of the baseball have kind of, I feel like, been looked over the past, couple years or whatever. So, I obviously had the benefit of playing for my dad, in which I did learn the fundamentals and stuff. And the summer ball team that I played on, we were really big on that type of stuff. So I learned it at an early age. It's really helped me throughout my career, and just trying to give back what I've learned and, try to help these kids out.
One of the things I had a chance to talk with Justin Bird about was that process when you're coming up on, junior year, wrapping up, senior year, looking at where do I play baseball next? Do I even get to play baseball next kind of question mark? Mm-hmm. For you had the chance to go straight from high school baseball to being a professional. What was that process like when you were sitting there weighing your options on college education versus not getting the education and just start making money and making your way hopefully towards the big league career?
Yeah, it was a really fun process overall. I was lucky enough to be able to sign out of high school and start my career, but going through it, it can be stressful at times, depending on, whether you let it be stressful or not. But, if I got any advice, try to enjoy, your high school years, play hard every day. You never know who's watching, and hopefully good things, work out.
You mentioned your time in the Blue Jays organization. You were there when some of those big league guys were having some injury issues, which means you got a chance to play with some of the bigger names in the game at the time that they were there, because they were in AA when you were on rehab assignments. What was it like for you to see these guys who they know exactly how to make it at the big league level, and you now have a chance to pick their brain? Yeah,
it was fun. Just to be able to see those guys work day in and day out. They work hard every day, and it just kind of shows us as the younger guys there that that's what it takes. These guys are veterans in the big leagues, and they continue to work every day. And like you said, we got to pick their brain and see kind of what their thought process throughout their career, and so that was always beneficial. And it was fun, a lot of fun.
So let's talk post-game spread a little bit, because I know you're a guy who enjoys a nice spread. We mentioned, you told me before, in your time in an Asian Winter League, the food wasn't exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah.
So when there's a big league player, and I believe this is typically the situation, when there's a big league player on rehab down in the minor leagues, they tend to take care of you guys a little bit better on the post-game meals, right?
Yeah, they definitely do. When a big leaguer's rehabbing with you guys, you're going to get, a nice post-game spread, whether it be Chipotle, Outback, whatever it may be. When they come in town, you're going to be eating good. So not only do you enjoy playing with them, but you benefit after the game as well.
So this year with the AirHogs, a lot of different cities in this American Association, right? You have the big cities in Chicago, the DFW area here, but then you have, your Fargo, North Dakota, your Sioux City, your Sioux Falls. Do you have a preference when it comes to playing in the big city, playing in some of the smaller cities? What do you enjoy as a guy playing out on the road?
It's obviously nice to go play in the St. Paul's and Chicago's and stuff, but it's you get to see the smaller cities as well, which is always nice to be able to see that throughout your career, because I probably wouldn't take a vacation to Sioux Falls or Fargo later on in my life, but you get to play there, and you get to see it. So that's always nice to do that. But I try to try different foods. Maybe their hometown favorite or whatever. So that's always a nice thing to have while you're there as well.
Is there something that caught you off guard somewhere this season, or maybe a city you didn't have great expectations for? You're like, wow, this place is awesome, or something you tried food-wise, you were like, I need to get that again, anything like that?
Can't really think of anything off the top of my head. When I was in Kansas City, I tried to try their barbecue.
I did too. I went to Arthur Bryant's. That was
they're known for their barbecue. So Texas is also known for their barbecue. So it was nice to be able to kind of see the differences in both those. But other than that, I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah. And real quickly before we get out of here, if someone again is interested in working with Matt Dean personally on the swing, on defense, anything like that, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and set up a time for you guys to work together?
Yeah, I'll be giving lessons this off season, so I can leave my number or email, whatever is best. So that's kind of how I do that. But not big on the social media. I try to stay away from that because I don't really post anything for people to care about. So that's kind of the way to contact me, and we can leave that. I can leave that with you. And
yeah. So how about this? Anyone interested in doing lessons with Matt Dean, reach out to the AirHogs, and we will put you guys in touch. Matt, we appreciate you coming on the program with us, and we really appreciate everything you do for the fans and for the organization here in the off season.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. We'll be right back after this.
Attention AirHogs fans, have you still not gotten your 2020 season pass? Well, why not? For only $150, you get in the gate for all 50 home games, including playoffs. That's just $3 a game. It's affordable fun the whole family can enjoy. For more information on season passes or booking your next group outing, contact Zach or Kelsey at zlee@texasairhogs.com or karmond@texasairhogs.com. We look forward to seeing you in 2020.
Welcome back into Hog Heaven. Tim Costello joined with the Director of Stadium Operations here for the AirHogs, Buddy Craig. Buddy, welcome into the program.
Good to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. You're probably, not even probably, you're the most tenured employee here with the AirHogs. You've come and gone a couple times, but you've seen a lot of different phases of AirHogs baseball.
I have started in 2010. 2011, left for a few years, came back last season. So I've been here now 2 seasons with this organization.
And I think that's the 2011 AirHogs championship ring that you're rocking there. I think that's the first time I've seen one of those.
Yeah, it's nice. It's old now, but it's a nice ring.
And we actually beat the St. Paul Saints in 2011, so we earned it in every sense of the word that year.
Absolutely. That was a tough team. They had some big hitters and big players, so that was a tough team.
We were talking before this started about really just the different kinds of playing surfaces that you've had to manage, because in your seasons here you've seen all grass and the dirt. Mm-hmm. Then you come back and we had turf everywhere but the mound and home plate.
Yeah.
And then now we have turf at home plate and you just have to worry about the mound, but still not really, because you need to make sure the rest of the surface is playable. How have you managed to remain knowledgeable in really 3 different types of baseball fields?
I had to basically ask a lot of questions and trial and error. Yeah, I don't know, grass, I'm a grass man, right? It just baseball to me, right? Smelling the grass, just everything like that. But by far, it's the easiest thing to take care of is turf. So there's not as many working parts, edging and water. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but it's easier to take care of turf.
Definitely a little more environmentally friendly as well. We use probably 10 to 15% of the water that, say, like a Lincoln, Nebraska would use on their natural grass field.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we're talking, like 99% less. I mean, the only thing I have is dirt to put it on, and that's the mound now. So, and that gets done, throughout the day or just whenever I need it.
So when you were doing a grass field for the AirHogs, how long before a game would you have to start just to make sure that at 7:05 first pitch, everything's ready to go?
About 6 a.m. I mean, that's honest truth. There's mowing. There's also, other things you have to look at as far as the grass. With our Texas heat, there's hot spots. I mean, because it's just so hot and compacted areas. So you got to watch those. So individual areas have to be hand watered and kind of, I don't know, what is it? Aerating, basically.
Sure.
Just to get those hot spots back to normal, but you don't see them until it's too late. They start changing colors, and you just got to go out there as soon as you can and take care of them. Just water them, and let it soak down.
So now that we've switched to really the mainly turf field with the dirt mound, I think if you were to poll pitchers in the American Association, the AirHogs are going to rank, I feel like, 1 or 2 in that mound, the quality of that mound. I know you take a lot of pride in making sure that we have the best mound in the league every single night. What's that process like for you to make sure that every single day our bump is as good as it can possibly be?
Well, I look at it like this. There's no game ending that's exactly the same on the mound. You've got different pitchers every day, so you can't repair it the same every day, right? So if you've got a hole somewhere, you've got to make sure it's filled in, and you've got to inch by inch build it back up to a base where you can put a thin layer for your finishing touches with the clay that you put on there. That's why I see most of the issues with other mounds is they do it the same every night. Put a bunch of clay down, tamp it. I go each individual hole. I mean, it is what it is. So I treat it just like that. It's different, so I fix it different.
You've seen a lot of different holes on the mound, right? And I think last year we were talking about the Chinese pitcher's delivery, and you could tell some mechanical issues really just by looking at where they're digging holes up on the mound and the type of hole. Do you think there are other guys in the league who notice that? Is it something really because you've been doing it for so long, you can see, here's what the American pitcher's holes look like, here's what the Chinese pitcher's holes look like. Why is there this difference?
I can't answer that as far as like if somebody else sees it. I would think so. Like some of our other players, when they get up to a mound, it's like, well, that's different, like a reliever or something. But most of what I've noticed from last season's pitchers, they had a lot of drag marks, long drag marks and deep drag marks, which you don't see that with American pitchers. Every once in a while you'll have a drag mark, but they don't
dig a ravine necessarily.
Get into the to the mound itself. So that was one thing I had to bring it up to the pitching coach. Hey, this is what I'm noticing. I don't know why, because I don't know much about the baseball mechanics and stuff, because I was never really a baseball player. I just knew what dirt looked like, so I would bring that up to that pitching coach and let him deal with the way he had to.
But I'm sure that's got to be beneficial for the coaching staff to know that there's someone out there paying such close attention to each one of these mounds that you can say, hey, the mound doesn't look right, you should check their mechanics.
Right, yeah. I try. I mean, it's an entire team sport, like from the players to the office staff, everywhere. I consider myself part of that team because I'm working for that game, basically, trying to make them better so they can be better, So, yeah, it's interesting, it's fun, but sometimes it's pretty,
a little tedious, a little frustrating?
Yeah, a little frustrating. That's the word I'm looking for.
Are there ever a time, a certain pitcher's on the mound, a certain starting pitcher, they like their stuff a certain way? Do you take requests realistically?
Absolutely. If I set up a mound because I don't know a pitcher, and I ask pitchers after games or after their start, what'd you think? What did you like? What you didn't like? So they'll tell me, like, yeah, it was a little maybe wet, maybe too wet for their liking, maybe too dry. So I remember that from that pitcher. If he starts again, I know what I'm doing differently for him next time.
So you're almost setting up for an AirHog starting rotation, really 5 different mound setups each way through the rotation, you would say?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if I already know where the pitcher starts from, I can pretty much just do it without asking the question again.
Right. So if Baloo or Lamond, these guys come back next year, you know how they like their mound based on what we did this year.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing with this year too, I changed it a little bit towards the end of the season, just because I had to replace a rubber. So when you do that, things get different on the mound too. So it's something they had to get used to. and I had to keep working at to try to make it basically the same as it was before, as far as the compacting of area right in the rubber, because when you first do it, it gets dug out pretty quick just from their cleats, just turning through it. So until I get a better base or a stronger base, then it's going to just do it. So it's a time process, but they understand it, and I try to just do it the best I can, until it's how I like it or I know the base should be.
How did you start to understand this stuff? I mean, there's not really is there a school for mound repair? I mean, how did you get interested in working in this field?
That's a good question. I left the military, and I was working construction. So my brother-in-law's brother actually played for this team in 2009, and then 2010, like I said, this is when I got picked up. They had fired their groundskeeper, and they were looking for one. They didn't know where to look, and the season is literally less than a month away. So it's, you got about a couple weeks before the season starts.
Yeah.
Chad Gabriel was his name. He goes to Pete Incaviglia, which was the manager at the time. He says, "I know somebody can do it." And he goes, "Has he ever done it before?" "No, but I know he could do it." Well, get him up here, let's talk. So I came and talked and answered a lot of the questions. Growing up, my main job was landscaping, basically. So I knew dirt, I knew grass. I didn't know baseball dirt, didn't know baseball grass, right? How to take care of those. So that's something I had to learn. But I was fortunate enough during that season, there was a person that worked up here that was within the Rangers organization. And she had reached out to their groundskeeper, so they sent their assistant groundskeeper out here and basically brought his whole crew with him. Mm-hmm. So they brought the mound supervisor, a crew with them, and I picked their brain. So I tried to get as much information as I could from the time that they were here. Then after that, I'd go to some of their games and actually go work on their mound with them after games. So it's just kind of a learning experience, and then what I learned from them. And then doing it, you figure out other ways that you can do it differently than what they do. Maybe it doesn't work the same way because their clay is different than ours.
Sure.
Right? So it was just a trial and error thing, but I got the gist of the most important things was making that base for your mounds, and the water, of course.
And I guarantee you there's a lot of kids out there right now who would love to do that. They'd love to be the guy who's in charge of getting that field ready to play every single day at the time of first pitch. If you were to make a recommendation to some of those kids or anyone who's interested in working in this field, how do you get involved in something like this? How would you recommend them learning about this process and being the best that they can at it?
Well, I think if you're a high school student, just go ask. Just go ask. Are you hiring? Is anything like that? Because, there's always someone that's going to need somebody or some type of labor for a baseball field. If you get there at the right time, hey, let's do it. Going into college, there's classes. Turf management, for grass. I'm guessing there's for artificial grass or turf also, but, I went the hard way. So I had to just learn on the job, basically. Funny thing is, though, where I got a lot of knowledge from grass, the horse track. We have a horse track right next to us. So their superintendent, at the time, I became friends with him, and I just started looking, and I was like, man, he's got nice grass out there, and it's always just firm, and it's not tore up. He's got horses racing on it.
Yeah.
So I said, George, what do you do? I want to be able to put 1,500-pound animals out on my baseball field, so 200-plus-pound men can play on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I set it up basically like his horse track, and it paid off as far as the outfield especially, just by aerating how he does it. He's taking care of it how he does it. So it was a little different. I didn't use a lot of sand like a lot of the other ball fields did, because my aerating did it. I filled in low areas when I needed to, but I listened to the horse track guy. So his grass worked, so did mine.
Fantastic. Get you out of here on this one. The AirHogs every year we bring in a lot of interns. And one of the best things about baseball is being able to pass that knowledge down. How much do you enjoy being able to teach someone? Last year it was Thomas was up here with you. You got to teach him. He knew a fair amount about field repair, but I'm sure you expanded that knowledge for him. Mm-hmm. How enjoyable is it for you to take someone under your wing and really show them how to do this?
For me, in this organization, it's wonderful because that means that's less work for me, right?
Sure.
So I have more time to do something else. Or if I have tournaments out here, I can turn them loose, right? So it's hard to find somebody like Thomas, really. It really is. I think I went through 4 different individuals before he came and stayed, and he was willing to listen and do it how I told him instead of cutting corners because I wasn't looking. You know, and believe me, I know. So when all I got to do is touch it.
Oh, I know. You know? Trust me. I've had my mound repairs fixed by you before.
Yeah, but no, I love it. I hope Thomas comes back next season. And heck, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm here, you know, I like him.
And even if you're interested in learning about field maintenance, anything like that, please reach out to the AirHogs. We would love to introduce you to Buddy. And even if Thomas does come back next year, we are always looking for interns who want to learn. And I can say from experience, I've been to every stadium in this league minus Winnipeg, and we hands down have the best mound in the league. So if you're interested in learning how to build a great mound, feel free to reach out to the AirHogs on Facebook, and we'll put you in touch with Buddy.
Yep. Come see me.
Buddy, we appreciate your time here on Hog Heaven. We'll be right back after this. I want to remind everyone, if you'd like to showcase your business or something you've been doing in the community on Hog Heaven, reach out to Z Lee at TexasAirHogs.com. Again, that's Z Lee at TexasAirHogs.com. That's Zach Lee's email. He'll be sure to line everything up for you. We want you and everyone out there who has a great business in the South DFW area, come on, let's showcase your business. And let's let everybody know what you do and why you want to be a part of AirHogs baseball in 2020. Until then, I'm Tim Costello, he's Zach Lee, and you've been in Hog Heaven.